Why are there no keto bodybuilders part 2? I say part 2 because I already did a video with the exact same title, and I'll have a link to it in the description below if you want to see it. And what happened is people just jumped all over me in like the comment section. They're like, "You don't know what the hell you're talking about," and this guy and this guy and this guy and this guy, they're all keto bodybuilders and low carb, high fat bodybuilders, and you have no idea. And maybe you should look into this. And maybe like telling me like I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. Maybe you should look into this, and like I'm a moron. Okay, what's a bodybuilder? Okay, back when I was a kid, if you wanted to learn how to train, how to build muscle or something, you went ahead and you looked at some of the muscle magazines. And, they'd have these huge guys, and it would be like, wow, this guy is like one of the biggest people on the planet. Let's go ahead and emulate what he does. And I sure as hell don't want to get as big as this guy. But, if I try doing the same thing and I only get like 60% of what this guy has achieved, I'll be bigger than I actually even feel like being. Okay, so that was the plan. The idea was if you want to know if something works or not, you look at the people who are doing the absolute best at it, and then you go ahead and you emulate them. Because like I said, even if you fall short, you've still accomplished a hell of a lot when you're modeling after some of the best people in the business. So what I said is, why are there no keto bodybuilders? It's because people were asking me, hey, how come nobody, on the Olympia stage, well-known bodybuilders are on low-fat diet or high-fat, low-carb diets? And the reason I said is insulin, okay? Bodybuilders in the 70s used to do like high fat, low carbs, okay? And yeah, they use steroids, but that's, not that big of a deal, okay? They went into like the Dorian Yates period is when it really started. Like high fat came out of fashion in the 80s because people were like, oh my God, cholesterol is going to kill you. You got to go high carb. And then, like I said, in like the 90s, around like the Dorian Yates Mr. Olympia period, guys just got as huge as they could and screw aesthetics and screw proportions and just get huge as big as you can. And a couple of different ways to do that are, aside from boatloads of steroids, are growth hormone and insulin. Okay? Now, so when people ask how come there are no keto bodybuilders, it's because if you take insulin and you do not take sugar in large amounts, simple sugar, you will die. Okay? As a matter of fact, the reason why I'm doing this second video is because yesterday I was watching a video by Greg Valentino. You really need to check this guy's channel out. It's pretty cool. He's a really nice person. He seems to be a really nice person, even though some people say he's like the most hated person in bodybuilding. But he seems to be a genuinely nice person. He's been around, he trained in the 70s at Gold's Gym, and back at like the tail end of the Arnold Schwarzenegger period. And he's been around forever. He wrote for Muscular Development. He wrote for like a couple other magazines. He's working with Generation Iron now. And so like I said, he knows a lot of different people and stuff. And he says himself, he's like, when you see guys going ahead and buying Pop-Tarts and stuff, professional bodybuilders, they're on insulin. That's the reason. He said there was a bodybuilder, I don't know who it was. It was a famous name though. He says he's sitting down with him, and he's not only drinking Coke, not Diet Coke, but real Coca-Cola, and adding sugar packets to the Coca-Cola. Why is that? He just shut up insulin, and if he doesn't take a lot of sugar, he's going to die. Then after that, he was telling another story, I don't know if it was the same video or another, about a friend of his. They were working out, and they hung out in a restaurant, and they were, eating, and his friend took iced tea and started pouring packet after packet of sugar into it. And he's like, why are you drinking packet after packet of sugar in your iced tea? And he said, dude, I just shot up some insulin. I need the sugar. That same guy, that friend of his girlfriend comes home one day. He's laying on the floor, calls an ambulance. What happened? He shot up insulin, didn't take enough sugar, passed out on the ground, and almost died. Guess what happened? A while later, he did die. This same person did die. And Valentino said he had a glass of iced tea in his hand when he died. He shot up insulin. I mean, apparently, right? He shot up insulin, tried to drink this iced tea with sugar thing to get his blood sugar levels back up again, and he didn't do it fast enough, and he ended up dying because of it. Now, why do people take insulin? Well, insulin is really anabolic. That's like on my anaerobics diet. I used to take dextrose after my workout. I mixed dextrose, which is a very simple sugar, okay, and it would spike my body's natural levels of insulin, because that's the reason why you have insulin. Insulin is there to regulate the amount of sugar in your blood. When your blood sugar raises, insulin levels raise to counterbalance that, okay? That's why a diabetic is. A diabetic is a person whose body, for one reason or another, and there are a couple of reasons, can't produce enough insulin to balance out the blood sugar levels. So you have to monitor your blood sugar levels. When they go too high, you have to shoot up some external insulin. Now, like I said, I would take sugar with my protein drink, with my glutamine and my creatine and my anaerobics diet after a workout, specifically to spike my blood sugar, specifically to spike my blood insulin levels, so I could absorb the protein better, so I could, basically, it helps you recover a lot better from a workout. Bodybuilders, since the 90s, started adding in insulin. They're like, well, hey, what do we do? Why don't we do it like this? Let's just shoot a needle full of insulin into our bodies, raise our insulin levels that way. But like I said, if you do that and do not take enough sugar, you will die. So, like I said, that's the reason what I was trying to get at. That's the reason why there are no keto bodybuilders. And when I say keto bodybuilders, okay, I'm not talking about like, your Uncle Tony who doesn't eat carbs and, he's kind of muscular too. I'm not talking about this. Like one of the guys that was mentioned, for instance, was Ziz or whatever his name is. He's like a Russian who grew up in Australia, really awesome physique. First of all, I've heard that he eats a lot of carbs, or ate a lot of carbs. He's dead now. Okay, so I don't know, but people are saying, well, he's a keto bodybuilder, and you better look into this, and you better look into that. Ziz was not a bodybuilder, okay? Ziz had the kind of physique that you could actually get without using steroids. And even if you use steroids, there's a big difference between steroids and insulin. Like I said, in the 70s, people were using steroids too, but they weren't using insulin. That's why it was okay for them to go ahead, and live on a low-carb diet and take steroids. But like I said, oh yeah, well, this fashion model's on keto, and, and this, low-level guy who does bodybuilding exercises. Like I said, Ziz is not a bodybuilder. Ziz, had a very aesthetic physique. He was in really good shape. But he wasn't a top 10 Mr. Olympia contender. He wasn't, 400 pounds of muscle at like negative 0% body fat running around on stage in a G-string and like a light coat of body oil. He was just, an in-shape guy. And his body was very easily attainable. Okay? So like I said, it's not a matter of like, why is nobody who does bodybuilding exercises on low carb? What I'm saying now, what I said then and what I'm saying now is, why are there no top 10 Mr. Olympia contenders at like 300 pounds, at like 3% body fat that are on keto? And the reason is you do not get that big without insulin, and you do not take insulin while restricting your carb intake without dying.